So welcome everybody to my channel. My name is Paul Smyers, and if you haven't been to my channel, I suggest you watch a couple of my introductory videos about a little bit about my background and so on. Now, I've been talking a lot about esoteric subjects, and there's always an underlying current between what's actually happening and what we observe and the field of energy, which is the source of manifestation. So the esoteric philosophy, the so-called esoteric, means just something that's the underlying energy, the currents, the hidden information that has to do with how things become into manifestation. And the ancient sages and so on have studied this information for a long time. It's a part of what they call the initiation process, so just people getting to know who they really are as beings and the God technology that this body has. And I talk a lot about that in many of my other videos. And I'm going to talk more about the esoteric implications of the current transition that the world is going through, because aside from all the society that we see and the politics and so on, over thousands and thousands of years, there's been another kind of knowledge and communications that's been transmitted down the ages that is the full history of the planet and the world and the psyche of the human beings, to transmit knowledge and understanding of who we are as our existence and put it in perspective in regard to history and the events that have happened over the thousands of years, natural events and human involvement events. And there is a continuous tradition for thousands of years of various kinds of beings. You might call what they call a hierarchy. Not a hierarchy in the kind of the modern concept of like someone at the top and they order all the peons to do what they want. It's more of a transmission, a waterfall of information that comes down through the ages of various kinds of beings and psychic beings, and many of these great sages, they practiced for many years. They left a tremendous amount of manifested energy and beauty and love on the planet, and all that information, they're very intelligent. They want to convey that information for thousands of years down to the geometry, the construction, the architecture, the teachings, the internal teachings, meditation, and so on. And aside from the modern political scene, I want to emphasize that there's also been a long tradition of great beings, far more political, far more powerful than the politicians, that have an ancient tradition of teaching truth. Truth is something that is a fact of life. The sun rises in the morning, that's a truth. Your breath is a truth. There's no denying it. You're aware, you're conscious, that's a truth. There's a whole lot of other things that can be debated, but you can't deny that we're existing, we're alive, and what do we do with this consciousness? So that's what a lot of my channel is all about. And I want to talk a little bit about the revelations that these so-called hierarchy societies and so on, the good people, they're good people, okay? It's not all bad. There's Illuminati and all that technology, jargon that we talk about nowadays in political, social circles. Yes, there's that part. But the hidden aspect of the really, truly hidden aspect of it is the divine, the ultimate power that is oozing its beauty into manifestation through the fantastic. We have a fantastic planet and billions of beautiful beings on this planet, and that's the positive news, that continuous manifestation of awesome beauty and unfolding consciousness goes on no matter what. It is the will of the universe, the will of the Creator, to make everything just right and beautiful, but it has to go through a whole long process. Just like any kind of transformation, there's a whole lot of rearrangement of atoms and so on. And what's happening on the planet right now is that. And it doesn't make sense if you try to figure it out all intellectually. Don't look at the politics of it. Look at the underlying deep subliminal, unconscious or superconscious evolution of humanity, that will of the Creator, that will wants to manifest, as we always have prayed for, heaven on earth. This is the old prayer. It's not it's built into our being that we want to manifest the ultimate beauty and joy. We want to physically manifest. That's why music and art and all those beautiful things come out of the human spirit, because there's an innate need and a desire and the will of the awesome Creator to manifest the heaven on earth and to incarnate in manifestation in every possible way. And every human being is a part of that. Now, there are beings who have taught in the late 1800s, early 1900s in particular. The British had gone to India and they started to find out what was going on there in the very ancient teachings, without getting into political teaching, history and the chaos of the British Empire. But there were sages, and there was a great goal of some of these great sages who have kept long traditions, many of them oral, for thousands of years, to reveal to the world and to convey some clarity. So some books and so on, some teachings came out. Blavatsky, I was talking about, and Alice Bailey. There's without getting into politics of it, basically there's a cascading information, just like a waterfall goes through many, many steps. The power of the universe, the enlightenment of the universe, the accumulated information and knowledge and wisdom of the ages cascades and flows through various beings in different ways. And sometimes, the incarnations of people, we're all not perfect. There's just, the divine is manifested on this planet in many different ways and times, and relative to the times, there's certain appropriate things. And now in more modern times, if Jesus came to today the way he came in a long time ago, if the great sages were to just sort of appear, they walk around New York City trying to teach the truth, they'd be put in prison like in about a couple of days. So it's a very different kind of a situation that we're in now. And the yogis of the past was told that we're in a modern cycle of a great transmission of the ages. You can astrologically, astronomically call this. There's a transition of energy. Basically, that's all it's about. It's all about energy. The sun has new energy. The galaxy has new energy. The planet has new energy. And we have new energy. So it's just a cascading thing. And the so-called hierarchy is not like authoritarian. It's conveying. It's actually a matter of service. The greater knowledge that you have, the more intelligent you have, the more wisdom, the more love that you have, the humbler you are, the more deeply you want to convey that. Because once you get to that stage of knowing this inside, you know that we're all one. So any kind of destruction of someone else is just a destruction of your own being. You have to convey that information. You have to convey that love. It has to be part of your being to participate in the universe, to teach and convey, and there's always someone smaller. Human beings, we adore our dogs, and the animal kingdom, the dog, they're getting a lot of abundant feelings from human beings now. And it's a wonderful thing in a way, because what's happening is you have a dialogue and a communication of love from one kingdom, the human kingdom, to the animal kingdom. In the same way with plants, where gardens are tended and so on. So the human being race, you might say, the collective human beings are conveying some kind of divineness into the manifestation through their music, and we're all a part of that. That's why even Jesus said, like, you will be like me. That's the whole intention. There's a whole intention of the universe to be totally manifest, totally divine, 100% through every cell. But it takes eons. So as a participant in this process, we can just kind of get into that rhythm of our own being and cooperate with the laws and the wisdoms and the joys, cooperate and participate. Thy will be done. Okay, let's not make it about some kind of obedience thing, but just some kind of get into the flow. If you want to flow with the river down to the ocean, then just get on to where the current is. And that's called participating. And that's what's called service. So there has been a trend and a very positive thing going on now that a lot of people are not perceiving because it's not on the news. But A lot of spiritually oriented people are feeling that. There's an undercurrent that's going on that, look, when you flush out a hose that's been full of garbage, you put the fresh water through it, all of a sudden the first thing that comes out is all the trash, all the dirt. And what's happening is an inflow of cosmic beauty and joy, and it's accumulated. There's sages and thousands of participants and loving souls that have existed on this planet for all these years, and their collective love and collective joy and expression of music and art is pushing out all and exposing all the darkness and the craziness of the, you know, the usual suspects, you might say. Because if one, this is the cosmic will, if you don't participate in harmony, eventually, somehow, the cosmic divine is just gonna, not use you, see? So, eventually, so-called evil has to be disseminated, because if your light shines bright enough, just like our sun shines out into the galaxy, or for who knows how long. I mean, even on Mars, they can see the sun. By that time, I suppose it's pretty small looking. But if there's a big enough look at the central galaxy, there's stars out there that have been shining for billions and billions and billions of years. Imagine how much they've affected and they're radiating out into the cosmos for all that time. And essentially, that's what the universe is all about. We are supposed to be divine light shining, and there is an undercurrent of great souls and sages who are on this planet right now, manifest or not manifested, but this is a wonderful time to have a body for all of us. Maybe there's angels in birth right now. I'm convinced of it totally. There's thousands and millions of actual angels physically incarnated now. There's sages incarnated of all different stages. There's all kinds of beings that have taken birth on this planet right now for this great transition, because it's an opportunity to participate in a service. And it's crazy. Yes, it looks absolutely crazy, but the end result of it is not calculated in just a day or two. It's calculated in hundreds and hundreds of years. That's why the revelation from some of these students of esoteric philosophy, like Blavatsky and Alice Bailey and many others, there's countless of them, there's so many of them, all of us trying to participate in this process of revelation, which is what they call the apocalypse, which is revelation. This is understanding of revealing of information that we need regarding our history, our own nature, our participation in the cosmos. And I encourage people to read these books that I've recommended and do some research, because it is a great transition, but it's not all dark. There's not all evil out there. There's a whole undercurrent that is not necessarily perceived that is absolutely and fantastically powerful and beautiful. And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be having all these revelations right now. It's because of that long-term planning that these great beings have had of revelation and helping human beings understand their own nature that we have this situation that we are in right now. It's called the enlightenment. And I hope people don't lose faith here. And with whatever religion, we all need to look at the harmony of everything, because our concepts about God and everything are interfering with our own ability to be with each other. Just as human beings, we're all breathing here, we're all here for a short time, we all have a limited understanding of this existence, and there's a whole lot of information that we can learn from each other that might tremendously augment and accentuate our existence and bring us tremendous amount of joy if we just understand. For example, meditation. Meditation isn't a Buddhist thing. It's not a Christian thing. It's not an evil thing. It's just a simple feeling thing of understanding our own existence within our breath, so that when we have a universal understanding of our oneness, then kindness is an automatic outflow. You don't have to have a law that tells people to behave some way, because if you don't know what love is, how are you going to love anybody? But if someone shows you what love is and how to feel within yourself, then the rest of your life you just tend to love people. So my channel and a lot of the information that I proceed to show out here and share with everybody is just about self-knowledge and harmony and understanding and finding the universal within us, so that we can go through this transmission without too much trouble. Because frankly, I see in the future some really serious problems, and that's one of the reasons I've been online for 20 years, because I got grandchildren and children, and what are they going to be experiencing in 50 years? I mean, I look at back my 50 years like, holy cow, 50 years ago, my goodness, I'm 69. So imagine what my children and grandchildren be going through. It's very, very important. We have to have a real understanding, not an understanding of politics, but we have to understand who we are as human beings universally beyond the religions and beyond the historical narrative that we're taught. So I hope people like and share. I make a lot of videos. I don't have a huge channel right now, but it's very important for me to try to explore and be part of a process of bringing some enlightenment and confusion and end to confusion on this planet right now. So I appreciate your listening. Please like and share, subscribe. I love to hear feedback, and I know there's a lot of us out there and experiencing the same thing right now and just trying and being frustrated sometimes. So I hope to see you in some of my other videos.